And welcome back to the conversation, the DMGB conversation, which stands for Doesn't Matter, Get Better, because that is the philosophy that we live by here on this show. We find a way to get 1%, regardless of circumstance, regardless of environment. And I am super excited to welcome my next guest to the conversation. She is my coach. She leads Roar Station, the gym and community that I'm a part of. Adriane Abraham, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Super blessed to be here.
No, it's our pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm so glad that you took this opportunity, and I'm so glad that you shared the good news. I want to start the show by celebrating your 6 months of sobriety. Congratulations.
Thank you so
much. What an unbelievable feat. And I know you very well. I see you as my coach. I see you lead classes. I see the community that you've built with Roar Station. But I want to kind of take us through your story, your journey, how you've got to where you are. Where do you come from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Ohio, actually, in a really kind of small town in Ohio, about 40 minutes west of Cleveland. So I grew up on a farm in the middle, basically, of nowhere. I'm the youngest of three brothers. So yeah, I was, the funny thing is like growing up, I was out in the middle of nowhere. So my whole story was, I was an athlete. So I played every sport that you could think of all day, every day. And I had three brothers, and it was interesting because growing up, everybody thought, well, did your brothers teach you everything you learned? And it was like, no, I actually taught them everything that I learned, so it was cool. It was a cool way to grow up. There was no like cell phones and stuff like that. So it was like the old school, like practice all day. I was out playing all day, stuff like that. So yeah.
Awesome. That's and so obviously with my sports background, I understand the benefits of growing up around sports and all of the fundamentals that come with that. But then did you go play college sports? Were you a athlete all the way through, or what kind of happened after that?
No. So I grew up, so growing up, I played a lot of sports. I practiced a lot. I played a lot, but I grew up in a kind of crazy household, and for me, athletics was a way. It wasn't to check out; it was really to check into life, because I was kind of trying to check out of like kind of the way that I grew up and how I grew up. There was a lot of like anger in my household. There was a lot of fighting going on and things like that. And for me, I never made it to college ball because I kind of had this block and barrier in my life that kind of consumed me. We might have to start over. Sorry.
No, we're not starting over. This is great. This is fantastic. So this is a celebration, right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, but what was the first stop after leaving home, or what was the thing that pushed you to that next step?
So I played sports pretty much, until I was about 17 years old. Unfortunately, as we were talking about, like I'm 6 months sober, around 11, I also started picking up alcohol and drugs. I became, unfortunately, like a full-blown alcoholic, probably around 12 years old.
Wow.
So it was like, for me in my life, I had two things that were driving me, an addiction that I unfortunately like couldn't get away from. And then I had sports in my life. Sports was always a thing that kind of drew me back in to reality. It was a thing that really like, it was a thing that filled my soul. And so growing up, that was the thing that kind of kept me on track. But I had this boulder, I guess, like something that was like blocking me from being my true potential, which was this addiction that I had picked up. I'd gone through a lot of trauma as a child, and I was really, struggling with just basically just learning how to cope with life. So I coped, through sports. I coped through, unfortunately, addiction was the thing that kind of kept me moving in life. It kind of numbed me out. But then I would have this other thing, such as sports, that would kind of bring me back in and remind me of who I was. When I was 17, I went to college. I went to Bowling Green State University, and I didn't play sports. I was actually done with sports at that point, just because I had played my whole life, soccer, tennis, basketball. All I did, honestly, I practiced. Like, I was a girl that was driven. I was motivated. Like, you wouldn't catch me anywhere but like either on the field or practicing how like to get better on the field. It was always about, a team for me. It was like a team and practice and keep going, keep growing. And so I was very dedicated. When I got to college, I got a little bit lost because the addiction kind of took over in my life. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I basically, when I went to college, I enrolled and I started with physical therapy, and I was like, I don't know. I didn't really know. I didn't have a direction. I was 17 years old. I was pretty lost. So I ended up going to school for telecommunications and marketing, which ended up leading me into Los Angeles. And it drove me to LA because I wanted to work for the entertainment industry. And I did that. I worked for E! Entertainment, HGTV, Style Network. I worked in that industry for a long time, for a few years. I moved out to LA when I was 23 alone, picked up, drove across the country, had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, screw it, I have nothing to lose. So I did that, and I found myself extremely lost again, and the addiction at that time took over my life. It really did. I was barely making it to work. I was sleeping in the break room. I was sleeping in my car. I was so lost. And so what happened was I dug deep inside of myself, and I said to myself, like, there has to be more, because I was put on this planet to do something more in my life. The thing that made me thrive was movement and sweat and sports. And I wanted to find my way back to that. And I was in the best place for it, because LA was the mecca of fitness. And I saw all these people at like 6 a.m. running, and I'm like, man, like, what happened? Like, where have I gone wrong? I have lost myself completely. Like, I want to be that person at 6 a.m. running again. Like, this is who I'm supposed to be. And I was like so amazed by these people. Like, how are they doing this? So I quit my job at E! Entertainment, and I decided that I was going to go into sobriety. I was 23 years old at the time. I had once encountered an AA meeting back when I was 19. I was struggling, and I didn't know what to do. I went to AA, and a seed was planted actually for me. And so when I was 23 years old, I walked into another AA meeting, and I ended up getting sober. And during that process, I quit my job. I started working at this place called Gold's Gym in Hollywood. And I was like, I don't give a shit what I do. I will start from the bottom up. So I started making smoothies. And I was like the smoothie girl at Gold's Gym. And I thought, well, I'm just going to absorb everything that I can here. So I went from smoothie bar to check-in, and I literally would train with every trainer, and I hired trainers. And, when I got sober, there was so much anger inside of me, and there were so many things I hadn't felt in my life that I had been numbing out my whole life. And so what really drove me in passion is I hired this professional fighter, and he started doing pad work with me, and he started boxing with me. And so I got really good at boxing, and I was just like literally fighting my way through sobriety and just fighting my way into this new life. And I literally picked every brain of every trainer inside that facility, and I learned every aspect of the corporate facility that you could learn. And I went from, front desk to management and sales manager, and I started running the place. I got certified. I left that job, and I started my own business on the side. I was doing boot camp classes outdoors, and I started 12 classes a week, and then I hired another trainer, and we were just doing a ton of boot camp classes, and I started learning. I had no clue what I was doing, honestly. Like, I was just like throwing these workouts together and just like, I don't know, killing people. But what I found was myself again doing that.
Yeah.
And I found this way of life that, I was like, how is this possible? You can do something you love and make money at it at the same time. And, it was the thing that literally got me out of bed every day. It was a thing that I just lived and breathed. So, that was like kind of my journey on how I got started. And then once I left, I stayed in LA for about four and a half more years, and I stayed sober for a while. And I got into some crazy relationship and things got crazy. I got a little lost again. And I moved to North Carolina. Long story short, I was still doing fitness. I found myself in Miami. Got sober again. I had a short relapse. And when I got to Miami, I was like, I want to do something on my own. Like, I want to open my own studio. I want to do something. And so I came up with my first brand at the time. It was called The Fit Shop. And The Fit Shop was all about, basically, like, the whole message behind it was like, you are your vehicle. You have to power it, drive it, maintain it, restore it, fuel it,
I love
so
that
it can run at optimum performance. And the only way you can do that is shifting from the inside out.
To piggyback off of that, I mean, I used to talk to my athletes about, like, are you a Honda or are you a Ferrari? Right? Like, I didn't recruit you because you're a Civic and you take regular gas. Like, I would look at them and I'd be like, what'd you eat for lunch today? And they're like, oh, well, I really didn't have time. So in between classes, I ran by Wendy's and grabbed a double stack. And I'm like,
yeah,
dude, like, you have a 2-hour practice coming up. We're prepping to play Clemson to win the ACC this week. Wow. Everything you put in your body has got to be premium fuel because you are a Ferrari, And I think people don't realize how much every little thing that they do affects their body, and they wonder why they can't get out of their own way, or they can't get their headspace right, or they don't feel good. And they don't realize the way they're just trashing the vehicle that is the most important vehicle they use every day.
Heck yeah. And
so I love that. I love that theme.
True.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And, I grew up, my dad owned a dealer. He was an entrepreneur. And so I had this entrepreneurial spirit. He had dealerships. He had tons of businesses. And I grew up in a body shop, right? And I would watch them repair cars and do all these things and watch, like, all the moving parts. And I thought to myself, like, and that was what that first brand was about. Like, like, you have to maintain your body just like you maintain your car. And, like, it's not just physical. For me, it never has been. It's very much an emotional, spiritual connection to yourself, to your body, to be able to connect truly to you. So, that was what it was all about. Like, and you can't do that unless you're sound inside, right? The physical happens, but the mental has to be there, well, that mental capacity, the spiritual, the emotional, it all has to be balanced,
I want to ask you a little bit about that, because as a person who struggles with addiction, you've been involved with fitness for a long time, but you started teaching classes way back when you were in LA. Mm-hmm. Was that an internal struggle for you to know that you were struggling personally, yet you were still in charge of leading these other people and trying to set the standard for them to follow within this fitness setting?
Yeah. So when I quit the entertainment industry, it was the same time I remember my first session, I hired a personal trainer. I had been smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day at the time. And the first thing he did with me is he said, okay, you're going to go on the Stairmaster for 2 minutes. And I was like, whatever, Stairmaster. I literally thought I was going to die and have a heart attack. I literally thought that those 2 minutes it was like 20 minutes. I could not believe that I could not do it. So my first step was, he said, all right, you got to quit smoking. And I was like, okay, there's no way. Like, here I am. I'm this, like, crazy addict. I'm like, I can't quit smoking. Like, and I did. And I was like, he's right. So I literally, that was my first step. I quit smoking. And then literally before I ever trained one person, I said, I can't do this unless I'm committing to my own lifestyle. So I had quit everything prior to even training one person, because I knew that I had to become aligned. Like, I couldn't put this message into the world if I wasn't doing it myself. But I was
authenticity.
Definitely going through a struggle. I was new early on in recovery. I felt like I was a 5-year-old child. I didn't know how to do anything in life. I was literally learning I was like crawling, and I was just kind of, the thing is that fitness and movement and being an athlete, it just came so natural to me. Mm-hmm. So having that thing in my life, it was just such a natural thing for me to move through and to navigate, that I felt like that was fitness and training saved my life. Honestly,
it gave you purpose.
It's my purpose. Like, and I have never, since that day I decided to leave the entertainment industry and become a trainer, have I ever in my whole life thought, well, I'm going to do something different. It's like there's nothing in this world that I would rather do than what I do. And it's just my purpose. I know that I am aligned. But to answer your question, I mean, there has been struggles, for sure. And finding myself off centered and off balance, and then going through some relapses during, the time of training people. And really, it just made me feel internally like, how can I lead this life if I can't do it for myself? But it's always brought me back, the community I've built, like that I've built at Roar, for example. I don't think that the people know that you guys are the ones holding me up at times, that you guys are
Sure.
the thing that gets me through my days. Like, you guys are what gets me out of it.
I was
It's,
going to ask you that
yeah,
because being an athlete is an entirely different thing than becoming the coach and coaching it, because when you're the athlete, you're your own responsibility,
right.
like I'm doing this for me because I love it and what I get from it. When you become the coach and you start getting that feeling of development in other people, like I know for me, even as a professional coach now, dealing with business executives or anybody in general, when somebody allows me the opportunity to open them up and poke at them a little bit, just the way you would a car, and figure
Yeah.
out a way to get them to run a little bit better and assist them in reaching another level that they didn't think they had, or finding some more potential. That's
Yeah.
an unbelievable feeling, and a feeling that drives me, which is my passion. Fitness
Right.
isn't necessarily my passion. It's truly the development of other people. So when did that kind of switch for you, as far as, I love fitness, but all of a sudden I really love helping other people as well?
It all started when I decided to help myself, honestly. Because,
That's strong. That's
I
strong.
honestly never thought that there was always this like deep, like this light inside of me, right? And like, I knew I had this thing inside of me as an athlete. I saw it on the field. I saw it, like I was always the captain leading teams and in my whole life, and I knew I had that. But I got so clouded with this disease of alcoholism, and it tore me down. I tore me down through the addiction, the self-destructive behaviors that go along with it, the mistakes made, the decisions that you do, the things that the shame, the guilt, everything around it.
Sure.
And I was literally at a broken place, and I've been there several times, but I've had to learn how to pick myself up and piece myself together and become the woman that I know I'm capable of being. And when I was able to do that for myself, I thought, so many people in this world need this, and it's almost felt like a responsibility for me to be able to pass along what I felt, others in my recovery had done for me. And like, my gift was being, functionally sound, being athletic, being motivating, having this drive. I had this drive and this will to change myself in such a powerful way, and I've always had that. I've had blocks along the way because it's a powerful thing, disease and addiction, and it wants you dead. So every day I have to, fight against something that doesn't want me to live. And so for me, it's like I had to build myself to become this woman that I know I am, which I've been doing in my life. And so that has been like a gift for me. So for me, it was like, I want to give this gift away. Fitness saved my life when I was down and out, and I had this boxing instructor, and he would hold those pads up and I would go at it and I would just let everything out on it. It was like, it wasn't about, yes, the physical was great, but it was what came with it. The self-confidence. I had no self-esteem. I was completely, broken. This thing built me up, fitness, movement. And it wasn't about the biceps or the triceps or the abs. It was about every time I showed up, I committed. I said, I'm going to be here at this time. And I got there and I showed
Mm.
up and I did it, even if it was hard. And it was like, I am here to do this for others. I am here for them to see that there is more inside of them. And through these workouts, I'm going to show them. For me, it's not about the workout. That's why we call Roar Station Roar Station. It's about, roar means the passion within. It's the gut feeling. It's the instinctual thing that knows who you are. It's your roar is your being, and being able to tap into that every day. Like, that's
I
what it
love it.
is. It's not about a workout.
So why the transition from Fit Shop to Roar Station? Why the change in name? Why the change in title? Like, I love what Roar Station stands for, and we're going to dive into Roar some more. But why the
Yeah.
change?
Well, I was in a business relationship for 5 years, and honestly, we started 2 studios. I opened a franchise in Mexico City, and it was a lot. The relationship just kind of, it was interesting because we got sober together, and we both went back to not being sober. So the relationship didn't work out. And it's interesting in hindsight, looking at it now, I see why it didn't work out. You had two people that came together through this thing, sobriety, of wellness and health, and then went apart because that addiction took us back out into this place of self-centered ego, that we couldn't come together. It's just the truth. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty truth, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And we couldn't come together. So unfortunately, it was a hard thing for me, because Fit Shop was a brand that I had thought up of for a while, and it was something I was very attached to. But
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was time for me to move on from this relationship that had become almost toxic. And that I was like, listen, I need to kind of do my own thing. And Roar Station came from, I feel like Roar is kind of the evolution of Fit Shop, in the sense of, you can't shift. So Fit Shop was about shifting. You can't shift have unless you can tap into that instinctual voice inside of you, which is your
Mm.
roar. That is your gut. That's the thing that tells you, like, this is right, this is wrong. That's the voice inside of you that says, like, go for it. Or that's a voice that knows. It's the knowing, right? So I thought, like, let's take it a bit further. And for me, that's what really was resonating at the time, was like going with that gut feeling and that instinctual voice, and not going against that, because I think in life we do that so much. And so that's where I came up with it. I thought, like, let's take this brand a little bit further and dig a little bit deeper into it.
So I gotta know, how do you come up with the workouts? Because it's the best gym that I've ever been a part of. It's and I've been involved in a lot
I
of
love that.
really good strength programs. And
Yeah.
I've seen us run programs that get guys to be really explosive and incorporate a lot of Olympic lifts, but in a way that increases your athleticism and your core strength and creates a competitive environment, which you've done in a civilized gym is the
Thank
way I
you.
would like. Because to me, in an athletic gym,
Yeah.
they're different animals. You
Yeah,
bring that out
totally.
into the real world, people get eaten alive. But you've done that. You've created that environment. How did you do that?
Well, I think for me, I was really in when I moved to Miami, I got really into competing. And I was a CrossFit coach. I for
And let
almost
me
eight.
put a disclaimer real quick.
Yeah.
It is not CrossFit. This is
No,
not a
it's not.
CrossFit gym.
No,
This
it's not.
is
This is
as
not.
true to an athletic development, explosive movement, functional training,
Yes.
get after your ass
Yeah.
for the hardest 50 minutes that you can get. So
Hell yeah.
disclaimer to everybody, this is not CrossFit.
Exactly. It is not. So I was competing really heavily, and I loved the competition. I was an athlete, so I kind of revisited that athleticism when I moved to Miami, and I started competing very heavily. And it was great. It was a good ride. But the thing is that I was constantly getting hurt and constantly getting injured, and I thought to myself, like, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is not longevity for my body. So like, what can I do? And when I created the Fit Shop, I said, I want to create an environment, where people could come in and feel extremely challenged. And again, this goes back to, I don't want you to walk in and feel not challenged. I want you to walk in and feel like, damn, like almost like I'm not going to make it, but I made it. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have that feeling, like at least one time during the 50 minutes, like it wasn't a good workout, in my opinion, because I am there to mentally challenge you and to physically push you beyond your own limits every time you walk in the door. So, as after Fit Shop, I thought to myself, when we opened up Roar, I said, I want to create an environment where we can compete together, but in a safe way, but that there's always this competition edge, because I think that that's something that, people thrive on. People want to be challenged, and it keeps it fun. It keeps it like, something to look forward to. So when I program, I've been programming now for, God, it's been, I think, 17 years, 16 years. And I've done
Sure.
so many different varieties of training. I was an Olympic lifter for years. I taught Olympic lifting. I've done a lot of stuff. I have so many certifications. And so I've kind of taken a mold of like the best of what I feel I've done throughout my career. And I've kind of just molded it all together, but at the same time put this competitive edge onto it, because I'm an athlete. I want to be challenged. I want us to challenge each other. It's what keeps the environment fun. And also it's what brings a community together. That's why, like, recently we did Rebel Wars, and this is something that I'm going to incorporate into the studio more often, where you'll see maybe 2 to 3 a year, where we look forward to knowing that there is a competition, that we're going to compete together, not for any reason, but to show off the hard work we've done all year. It's like a season, right? Like, we weren't like, let's show off the work. And so it's just something that I thrive off of, and I find really works in a community. And since I have transitioned from Fit Shop to Roar, I've seen that is what has built the community even stronger, is having those challenges and pushing people to those limits, is because people, like, there's the reward is insurmountable, in my opinion. And it's literally, like I say over and over, this isn't about anybody but you. It
I
doesn't
love
matter
it.
who if your name's going on the board, if it's 10 calories or 510 calories, it doesn't matter. It's that you showed up and you participated and you took
Well, it's
yourself somewhere you didn't think you could go.
and it's accountability too, in my opinion, like,
Yeah.
because your name's going to go up there next to a number, and you got to own that number regardless. Like, and I know internally, like, when I come up a couple calories short or a couple meters short of somebody else, I'm like, I probably could have pushed harder in those final 10 seconds and I might have got there, so it creates that personal accountability, which is great for people. It's what people miss. A lot of people don't even get that in their corporate structures or in their jobs that they're working in. So it's an unbelievable added piece to the workout that pushes you, like you said, mentally and physically, and helps you find new levels and makes you accountable to your own behaviors and your own, your own results. And you have to own those day in and day out, which is really awesome. My next question for you is, how do you find the trainers to align with you to help you? Because you're not there every day. You don't coach it every day, but there is never a drop off. The people that you have brought in to continue to teach and coach are right at the level that you're at, and hold everybody accountable to that same standard that you're expected to work out with. How do you find those people, and how do you cultivate that within the people underneath you?
Honestly, I've just been so blessed. I'll say that. Especially with the coaches that have come in. The first thing I do is, like, I honestly kind of like what we're doing. I have a conversation with the people that I might consider hiring. And for me, alignment is really, like, very important to me. Like, kind of like, do you walk the walk and talk the talk? Like, can you do what we do here? The first thing I have the person do before I ever even hire anyone is come work out. Like, I want to see you move. I want to see what kind of push do you have? Like, are you willing to go there? Like, and I'm going to know right away if you are, kind of thing. So that's the first thing. I don't even meet them. If anyone inquires, I say, okay, come work out with us. Because, like, we see a lot happen on the turf, and especially if there's like a rebel station, it's like, are they willing to push beyond the limits? Are they willing to go there? And it's that, and being like aligned with the purpose, like understanding what that means to, you know, have this thing that gets you out of bed, and they have to be, they have to love it. It's all about that passion, and it has to be a purpose in their life. I've had trainers come and go, and what I have found is that they go because it's not their purpose. They go because it's just something they're kind of doing on the side or whatever. But I try to find people that understand, that this is something like they can't live without, because they are at the forefront teaching the people, in the studio, and it needs to reflect down. It needs to be that ripple effect. So, I want to make sure that they're emotionally, mentally, spiritually sound, and that they have this well balanced persona that is relatable. I want them to be relatable. I don't need to have like people all ripped up and like, eating like just broccoli. It's like, no, we're real life, real girls. We do our thing, we're humans. And that is really important to me. Like I'm not like, eating like broccoli and rice. Like, no, it's like, I live a well-balanced life.
I want to point that out, because the coaches are all women.
Yeah.
The entire staff are all women, and the majority of the gym are like, when I work out at 6 a.m., yeah, I'm one of the few men in the class. Like there might be 2, maybe 3 others in the class. Shout out to Don, shout out to RJ, who are always my other males in the class. But it's an unbelievable experience to be getting this kick-ass workout, being pushed absolutely to my limits, and also be surrounded by these super strong females that are keeping a pace that I'm like, shit, I gotta keep this thing going here in order to. So, I mean, did that happen by accident? Did that happen on purpose? How did that really?
It didn't happen by accident. I think I've had men work for me for sure. I feel like the studio does better, honestly, when it's all women. I don't know why. I think that there's just something really powerful about a female-run, female-driven facility. There really isn't many around, if any, to be honest. And I think that we really mesh well together. We've become a family. We have a real true understanding of each other. Like, we love each other. We care about each other. It's like we're sisters, honestly. It's like we're like a team, like a solid team. And when I pick people to come on board, I'm very hesitant. I'm almost like too picky, because I don't want to shake the energy that we have. Like, I think that if we have a solid team, then the studio feels it. If we have a toxic player on the team, the studio feels it. And I've had, I've been doing this for 10 years. So I know, if there's been like a cancer on the team that, where someone's not happy, and there's like, it just, so it spreads. So like, I'm very stern on like, I would rather work more than not have the right fit, if that makes sense. And I think other women come to the studio and they're like, holy crap, all of these women are here. They're doing it. Why can't I do it? And I think that there is definitely an attraction, when a new client comes in and she happens to be a female. I also think that there's an attraction with men too. I want more men in the studio. I don't know. I think since we opened up Roar, we've gotten more guys. And it's been more men to feel comfortable. But I think like the female driven thing, there's something really powerful behind it that a lot of places haven't really done, especially in the way that we're doing it, in the competitive way that we're doing it. So
I agree. I think, even if there are some women in the class who I have a hard time keeping up with, like there's nothing more annoying than when Allie is in the class with me and she does 75 more reps of something than I do. But even some of the women who are just not coaches, but they're in the class with us, they hold an unbelievable standard. They hold an unbelievable pace. Yeah. But everybody in the class is pushing themselves to the limits, and it's an unbelievable community. I really can't. So kudos to you. I can't give you enough praise about the way you've created it. And I can see it makes a lot of sense to me now because of your love for sport and as many sports as you played growing up. You know that team mentality. You understand how important the locker room is, and that's the way you treat your business. You're not willing to bring somebody onto the team that isn't aligned with the team's values and goals. And I think there are a lot of, you know, organizations out there who need that understanding, who don't understand the sacrifice of talent for fit. Because if they don't fit the chemistry of the team and the chemistry of the team isn't right, it'll never be successful. But you obviously have the right chemistry right now because the gym is doing great and I love it. And I know everybody else who is there loves it. And so we all thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that, you know, another way is I'm not up here and they're down here. It's like we're on the same team. Basically, there's no, like, I'm cleaning the toilets. We're all cleaning the damn toilets. It doesn't matter. There's no hierarchy. It's like, let's do this thing together and like, let's create this thing together. And I think that that's really important. There's an understanding, there's a respect, there's a love, there's a passion. And I think that those things go a long way. And, you know, there's, you know, just a true integrity there. And, you know, it's just super important. And I think that that's another reason why is because we're all on the same level. It's not like, you know, like anyone thinks they're better than anyone. It's like, we know this thing goes because everyone has a part, period. Without Katie, I'm not who we are. Without the whole, you know, it's like every piece comes together to make this thing go. And that's what I truly believe. That's why we're so successful right now. So,
well, congrats again on number one, creating such a successful community and business and something that I'm very proud to be a part of. But congratulations again on 6 months.
Thank you. Appreciate
super
it. Proud
of you.
Thank you.
Super thankful for you. Glad to have a coach like you in my corner. Glad to be a part of our community. If people want to get in touch with you, whether it be about sobriety or fitness or the gym, where can people find you?
They can go to my Instagram and DM me.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
so
whatever the best way to contact you is.
So it's at Adriane Abraham. And so it's on my first and last name is my Instagram. They can DM me or they can also email me, adrianeabraham@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining the conversation. This was a special one. And I'm looking forward to you kicking my ass on Saturday.
All right. Perfect. Bye, Coach.
Bye.
Later.